All right, welcome to Two Sons Podcast. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hope all of you guys are having a great week. We've had a week to sit back and marinate on, to simmer on the Acolyte season finale.
Yeah.
I rewatched it about 2 days ago. When did you rewatch it?
A little bit today, and then, actually just today.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me your thoughts after rewatching the episode.
Just like my overall thoughts.
Yeah, like what's your takeaway? Like now that we're a week away, do you have any additional takes? Do you have any additional thoughts?
So,
do you like it more, like it less?
I like it more.
Okay.
But I liked it from the beginning, which you and I received kind of a lot of crap for that from like
We're plants.
We're plants.
We're shills.
Yeah. Dude, I'm still waiting to get that paycheck from Disney.
I'm still waiting for any paycheck of any kind.
No, I mean, like, overall takeaway, I think, is, I found myself pondering whether or not Chimera was aware that Plagueis was watching him. And I kind of go, like, back and forth on that. And I feel like
Well, what's your guess?
Chimera did not know that Plagueis was watching him. But I find that what I get confused about, not confused, but what I ponder about is I think Plagueis had to have been a part of the conception of May and Osha, right? Like I think he had to have been a part of that. And there's some theories out there like Plagueis led that or Plagueis learned from that. And I think Plagueis probably led that. So he had to have been aware of Osha and May. And the fact that Osha and May were in such close contact with Chimera, and Chimera was kind of acting like Plagueis wouldn't have known about his relationship with them. It's just really complicated, and I just have a hard time like digesting it or understanding it, I guess.
So,
and not in a bad way, but just in a way that like I just know I don't understand the picture fully.
Part of this is like just the constraints on them using Osha and May as the main characters rather than focusing on the most interesting character in the show, which was Chimera.
Yes,
and the character that everyone else kind of cares about the most. And again, like the main way that I look at it is, first of all, I agree with you. I think that Plagueis was snooping.
Mm-hmm.
I am like convinced that that's supposed to be Disney's version of Baldemnik, by the way.
Oh,
I think that's almost.
It would be wild if it wasn't.
To put
there
it simply,
would be no reason for that not to be Baldemnik.
For Plagueis has been there in that we physically saw him there. Cortosis on the coastline, caves, like it's just
totally makes
all
sense.
of it just kind of fits, right? So, and for those of you guys who don't understand what that reference is, that's basically just Plagueis killed his master, Darth Tenebris, on a planet next to the water in a cave where they were mining Cortosis.
Right.
So, and that planet was called Baldemnik. So, I also agree that Plagueis was snooping. The dynamic with the master apprentice thing is really complicated, though, because like, I want to come back to the conception thing in a minute because that was a big thing that stood out to me in the rewatching because I agree with you. I think Plagueis had to have had something to do with it, and I think that they were strongly hinting at that.
I do too.
So but going at the apprentice thing, Plagueis knew that Palpatine was training Darth Maul and was snooping on them.
Mm-hmm.
However, Darth Maul was never intended to be an apprentice. He was intended to be an assassin. And I believe that Sidious bestowing on him the title of Darth was very much Sidious viewing him as an apprentice.
Okay.
But like one of the common themes in Star Wars is like the Sith usually try to find their apprentice before they challenge their master. So Sidious had Darth Maul when he challenged Plagueis, and then he found out Darth Maul died, and he had to go get Count Dooku. But like Darth Bane was pissed off that Xana wasn't challenging him, but Xana was waiting to get her apprentice first and then challenge. So what's fascinating about it to me is like, I believe Plagueis was snooping. However, and I think the dead giveaway that Plagueis is snooping is he's kind of like back.
He's tucked away.
Yeah, he's tucked away.
He did the hand on like this, like, I don't know how to describe it. It was a snooping posture.
Yeah, because in theory, if he was there just like hanging out with Chimera,
it would have been more obvious.
He could have been out on that railing, just arms on the railing, because it's not like
he was like
May
hidden, like half of him was hidden.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yeah. So the real interesting fact there is like it's imminent now that Chimera would challenge Plagueis. Like,
right.
It's imminent because, to be clear, like we see Chimera refer to her as an acolyte. He wants an acolyte.
Yeah.
He wants his trainee. So like I look at it pretty strongly that Plagueis was snooping, and now it's teeing up this inevitable confrontation that's going to happen.
Even because I agree, like he definitely looks like he's snooping. There is still some, I guess, plausible ability for Plagueis and Chimere to have talked about May and Osha, like almost like Plagueis is like, hey, I created this vergence in the Force. Osha and May exist. Your job is to watch Osha and May to see if they become something powerful.
Mm-hmm.
As almost like, hey, just keep tabs on this to see how they grow, almost. And then it's plausible that Chimere could be watching Osha and or May grow and be like, holy cow, like they're actually very powerful in the Force. Like I could use them as an apprentice and overthrow Plagueis, even if Plagueis was aware of it, right? But the snooping aspect of it, I totally agree with. Like it seems like Plagueis was snooping at that moment in time.
It is possible that. So to take it back to the conception piece, when Sol is on his rant in front of May and Osha about how their mother conceived them using the power of the Force through the Vergence, he specifically says there have only been a handful of beings in the history of the galaxy.
Yeah, that's
who
a long
possessed
history.
this power.
Like,
out of the trillions
galaxy.
and trillions of beings in the galaxy, he literally says only a handful of beings in the galaxy have ever had this power. And the camera immediately pans to Chimere.
Interesting.
And Chimere kind of has like this, like kind of like just look on his
like,
face. It just kind of, it's like
that's funny. I didn't pick up on that.
So yeah, so I think that was between Sol harping on that point, the camera going to Chimere. I viewed that as a pretty strong indicator that they're trying to say Plagueis was responsible for this,
and the fact that Lady Anastasia, or is that what's her name again?
Mother Anastasia.
Mother Anastasia hints at the fact that like the Jedi, I know, lady, hints at the fact that the Jedi wouldn't be happy if they knew how the twins were conceived.
Exactly.
Or we're calling them twins, even though they're not. But how they would be unhappy if they understood, how they were conceived, and that just further alludes to the fact that the Sith had their hand in it.
Yeah, and so that takes us back to your take about the apprentice thing and makes it complicated because it's one hell of a coincidence that Plagueis would be like secretly secretly creating life, and then Chimere just happens to find it and train it to be his apprentice.
Agreed.
So that paints this other picture where it's like, well, what if Plagueis was actually telling Chimere to train one of these girls? Which then it's like Darth Plagueis fancied himself immortal and had no interest in ever relinquishing his power, as we know from the Plagueis book. He specifically tells Sidious, like, we are the end of the rule of two. And his whole thing is like, you're going to set up yourself as chancellor and we're going to rule the galaxy. I'm going to focus on how to make us immortal, and then we're going to become the two immortal Sith Lords that rule the galaxy. So that would lead us to believe that it's possible that Plagueis does see May and Osha as just assassins.
And they very well could be. Or that this is just one of his many science experiments that we know he runs.
Yeah.
Like this could literally be so insignificant or insignificant?
Yeah,
insignificant for him compared to like his larger happenings. Like we don't know. Like part of me tells me that this is his big happening. Like I feel like nothing really tops this in regards to what he would be experimenting with. He's physically there. So, but we know that he was creating life like back in his lab on his whatever world that was. I forget it. That had to get bombarded. Bombarded. Yeah. So like this could just be one of his many experiments that he's running, but it's probably like his crown jewel at this point, if I had to guess.
Yeah, and so this is where it gets complicated, and this is the next direction I wanted to go. So let's say, for instance, Leslie Headland claims that there was a specific reason that Chimere had some of the Kylo Ren music playing in the background. So what do you... So there's a bunch of different directions this could go, and I'm wondering what you think is going to happen / what you want.
Well,
so Plagueis is the master now. He is the Dark Lord of the Sith. We can assume that. Yeah. Because I doubt that it's like Tenebris is training Plagueis, that's training Chimere, that's training... Like, right. That's very complicated.
It's just too complicated.
Darth Bane would just be rolling over in his Sith temple wherever on Morabond.
Yeah.
So so, and by the way, ballsy of the Sith to bury Bane on Morabond after he went into hiding.
That's actually
big plot hole that they need to figure out at some point.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we can agree Tenebris is most likely dead.
Agreed.
So Plagueis is the master. We have Chimere. We have Osha. Those are the three existing like Sith entities.
Correct.
So I think there's two different directions they could go here. Chimere and Plagueis have some sort of confrontation. Chimere says, "Hey, I have no interest in overthrowing you or overthrowing the Jedi or whatever it is. I want to go be Knights of Ren guy, and I'm going to take Osha with me. We're going to launch the Knights of Ren."
Is that the Kylo Ren music?
Maybe,
link?
yeah. That's the link to the Kylo Ren music. Then Plagueis goes like, for some reason, fine, you can leave.
Right.
At which point, then Plagueis goes, "I need a new apprentice. Let me get Palpatine." Or maybe that's Chimera escapes with Osha,
Yeah.
and they disappear, and Plagueis somehow just goes like, "I'm okay with it,"
Yeah.
or whatever it is, because we do know that the Sith allow the Knights of Ren to exist. They view him as like not enough of a threat, which I'd be like, well, Chimera's too powerful for
Chimere's
that.
a very big threat.
So the alternative is, do you think that Disney's trying to reset the Sith line and have it literally go Plagueis to Darth Stranger to Darth Osha to Darth Palpatine?
No.
Darth
That's
Sidious.
possible, but I don't think that there's enough time. Or at least I would like to think there's not enough time for them to do that.
Well, and I think Plagueis might be canon Sidious's master too. I'm not sure about that though.
Oh, I think it. Wait, say that again?
So I was saying, what if Disney reset the Sith line?
Right.
So meaning like Plagueis is not Sidious's master; he's his master's master's master.
Oh, I think it would be canon for him to be Sidious's master.
I think it is canon.
Outright said. Like obviously, it's heavily alluded to. I think it's got to be canon.
So that would imply then that Plagueis either kills Chimera and Osha or allows Chimera and Osha to leave and become their own thing.
I think that's season 2. I honestly think that Chimera getting killed is season 2.
And then Osha becomes the apprentice?
Maybe for a very short while, or maybe they both get killed.
There's got to be some resolution there, though.
There's got to be
because Plagueis goes to Palpatine. I'm pretty sure, and there are some of you guys who listen to our show are even bigger like lore experts than we are. If you know, I'm pretty sure Palpatine, his master by canon, is Plagueis.
I mean,
but I could be wrong about that.
When Palpatine's talking about Darth Plagueis the Wise, it is so heavily alluded that that's his master.
But I believe there are Disney-made materials that hint at this too. So I want to be kind of loose about it, but I'm not sure.
I understand where you're coming from, but in my mind, that's always been set in stone. So, but to kind of answer your question, like the two routes, like yes, Chimera could potentially lead down the path of like a father of the Knights of Ren. You're bringing out your star.
I gotta see if there's a Sith
I don't know if
edge.
it's going to be in there yet.
It might not.
But I think, especially because Chimera's look kind of has the vibe of like the Knights of Ren, if you know what I mean, like a little bit ragtag almost. But I would be so dissatisfied if that's all Chimera ended up being, because the Knights of Ren were a great concept, but just completely missed. You know what I mean? Like, look, when we learned about the Knights of Ren, I was like, oh my gosh, like that's really cool. And then they ended up just being nobody. Like they ended up just kind of like, I don't know, kind of just.
I never really bought into the Knights of Ren thing
because
it
they
never
half-baked.
worked for me.
They were so half-baked.
Yeah.
So I think to answer your final question there is, I do believe that season 2, if they do one, which I feel like they will, would be the story of Plagueis and Chimera having a final duel together, and then Osha getting stuck in the mix. Whether she sticks around just long enough for Plagueis to come in and take the show, or she gets killed with Chimera.
But this is what I hate about Osha being the primary character of the show. Because, like, if you're going to send Chimera and Osha off to be the Knights of Ren, and the show becomes a Knights of Ren prequel,
that would be so lame.
That's so fucking lame.
I don't think it's going to happen. I just
want
don't.
Sith. I want to learn more about the Sith. Teach us about the Sith for the love of God. Focus on what's actually interesting in this saga.
And to the rest of your question, like, what would you want? That's what I would want. I would want some epic story about Chimera having to confront Plagueis and then getting killed in the mix. Like, I don't know how he wouldn't get killed by Plagueis in this storyline, unless Disney does something completely unexpected and Chimera, takes takes
the
Palpatine as his apprentice at some point.
I think
like that'd be wild. That just wouldn't make sense.
I think that would be tough too, because like the other thing too is like if Plagueis dies 100 years before the Phantom Menace, then that destroys the Plagueis book.
Right.
Like just
which
rip,
so
just rip it
far
up.
for the most part is still intact.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which was one of my likes. Like I wrote down some likes and dislikes of the show. Like one of my likes was the Plagueis book wasn't just completely dumped on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that made me happy.
Osha seems a little bit of an unwilling Sith.
She does.
She seems like a Sith by circumstance or a Sith by
Like Set Hearth.
necessity. Well, not like Set Hearth, because I think Osha built a hatred for the Jedi suddenly through what happened, but she doesn't strike me as like the classic like I want to rule the world.
Agreed.
The rule the galaxy Sith.
Which might be a perfect lead into Plagueis understanding that and being like, this was a great experiment. I created life. I'm just going to go ahead and kill you now.
Exactly. So
that would make sense
let
from
me
like a plot
pitch
standpoint.
to you a season 2 outline.
Hit me.
And you tell me what you think. First few episodes, go back in time and focus on Vernestra and Kymir's fall to the dark side. Because all you have to do is, like, I don't know, cut his facial hair, make him look younger.
Yeah, they could pull that off.
Yeah, so go back, Kymir, Vernestra, early Jedi stuff. Kymir turns to the dark side. Kymir ends up running into Plagueis. Kymir's early Sith training under Plagueis,
Could be cool.
where we also learn more about the history of the Sith.
Yeah.
That's the first kind of like few episodes of the season.
Which would be cool because then you could develop their relationship and just make it really meaningful for the final payout. Proceed.
Exactly. And then the payout would be there's conversations. We get conversations on Baldemnik between Plagueis and Kymir about the twins, where Plagueis expresses concern, like these are powerful with the Force, but like they don't have what it takes to be a Sith. Kymir says, no, screw you. I think these are perfect. They have their disagreement, whatever it may be. Plagueis is then either watching them secretly or was after that conversation is just kind of hanging out as they leave or whatever it is. It moves into this next phase of the show where Kymir and Osha are there, at which point Kymir and Plagueis have their big showdown, which would be kind of like middle of the season.
Oh, in the middle of the season.
Yes.
All right.
And then it would be Plagueis defeats Kymir and kills him. And then there's like a phase between him and Osha where that kind of like becomes like, let's find out if she's up for it. But like, I have a feeling Disney would allow Osha to leave. I don't think Disney would just have Osha become Plagueis's, chop down in cold blood kind of thing.
So I like your take. I think what you described as the halfway point where Plagueis and Kymir confront each other would be the season finale for a season 2, and then a season 3, if they wanted to do it, if it was successful enough, would be Osha showing that she's just really not fit while Palpatine starts to become of age.
Oh, so like the first half is like Osha. So I want to say Palpatine gets born in like kind of like 30 years. Like it's not that long into the future. So to your point, season 3 could actually start with, this would actually be really cool. Season 3 could literally start with Plagueis, like they could cast an older Osha, like in her 50s. And then they could have like Plagueis and Osha like at the late stage of their apprenticeship.
Osha's wearing Kymir's old mask.
And Plagueis again trains a Sith to become close enough to be able to, and then kills her again.
Yeah.
And then
something like that.
And then it kind of like feeds into the Palpatine thing where it's like finally there's a Sith that actually becomes powerful enough to overthrow Plagueis. And it ends up being we get multiple seasons of like young Palpatine.
Yeah. No,
cool.
I think so I'd be down for that. If Disney did that, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like you guys are doing stuff that makes sense.
Exactly. That'd
be pretty dope. Incredible. Yeah. Incredible. So no, I think that's what I hope. I think that's totally reasonable. That's a reasonable ask,
So I have an idea. Why don't we, since we mainly focused on Plagueis today, why don't we call it a day?
Okay.
And we stick with that being kind of like the outline for this particular show. And then next week, after we cover House of the Dragon, we can get even more into the Acolyte.
Into like the likes and dislikes.
Yeah, some of the more
overall rating. We'll rate it 0 to 100.
0 to 100. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll simmer on it even some more. Actually, and in the comments, go ahead and put your rating in 0 to 100. 100 being perfect, 0 being not. You can't put 0.
2 being you're one of the 17,000 bots that have been coming after us about how our Disney shows.
Right. You cannot put 0. I will not allow you to put 0.
All right, guys, that is all we have for today. As always, we sincerely appreciate you guys for supporting the show. We'll be back next week with a breakdown of House of the Dragon episode 7, as well as a little bit more Acolyte talk. Have you made it any further into the audiobook?
No, man.
Dude,
I
you
just
need to
haven't
knock that
gotten
out.
into it. I know. I've been doing other things, man.
I know you're busy. You're a busy man.
Busy. I'm
But-
building the Mary Grotto for my grandma, and I'm building
AirPods, bro.
I know, but I can't focus on like math and operating a saw safely while listening to Star Wars. I just can't.
Interesting.
No, I can't, dude. I actually, so for a while, I created this kick-ass workshop at my
Yeah,
house.
he
right?
turned his garage into a wood shop. It's actually pretty dope.
And, I've got all my stuff out, and, I've got my TV there. I never turn on the TV. I have a really cool speaker in there. Never turn on the speaker. I literally just go in there, and it's like silent.
So
and I work. It's so weird.
if you were a worse woodworker, I would make so much fun of you for this. But like your shit is so good
Thanks, man.
that like
Yeah.
I have no choice but to be like, don't mess with the man's system.
There's
but
like
you need to find some other time to listen to Plagueis. Or not Plagueis, I mean
dude, this is
High
so fun.
Republic.
No, you're right. I need to. Yard work is so good for that.
Yeah,
like when
yard
I'm
work.
like doing like the front yard or something like that. But I do like a quiet shop. I even like so this is so over the top. Do you know what a Gregorian chant is? Okay. So like envision like Halo theme song.
Okay.
That's actually like
About
very
people?
Yeah, but like so that's actually like very Catholic,
Oh,
believe
okay.
it or not.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, it's like it comes from like Gregorian chants. I even put Gregorian chant radio on in the shop one day. I'm like, am I gonna like this? And I didn't. Like it just no, and that's not because I don't like Gregorian chants. I think it's badass. Like, but I was just like, man, I just like a silent shop. It just helps me focus.
That's
I don't know why.
super interesting.
But right now I'm doing that project for my grandma. I'm halfway through the cabinet project for the laundry room at our house. Then I'm gonna have to do a new like TV console for the TV that we just bought, plus like a wall behind it.
And we have our studio.
Then I've got the studio that I need to do, and then on top of
And
that,
we need to do the studio before the next season starts.
yeah, I just finished a project for my parents, and then I've got to do another project for my parents where I'm like encasing their vent in their kitchen with this wood that's like 200 years old from Scotland.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it used to be like this old bed that like my mom had. It's like from Scotland.
That's awesome.
And I'm gonna repurpose it and like put it into their kitchen. So it's really cool. But long story short, I've got a lot of wood shop projects.
Yes, you've got a lot of
coming
wood
up.
shot, and you've got a baby girl coming very soon.
Yeah, man.
You're like,
It's
what,
pretty
2
wild.
months away?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
nursery has to get done.
Yeah,
Dude, I'm gonna be a busy guy.
I don't envy your checklist.
Yeah.
All right, guys, this is actually the end of the show today. As always, we sincerely appreciate you guys. We'll see you sometime, probably either Sunday night or Monday night. As always, we appreciate you guys. We'll see you then.
Thanks a lot.